people. So, welcome to the first Patreon only. Actually, we've had a couple other Patreon only live streams, but this is the first one in the new era of Patreon. So I'm just setting up and then I will tell you how this is gonna go. I think I'm good. Okay, so if you're here, I know everybody has various levels of wanting to participate in a live stream or just watch or what have you, but I have the chat window open, ready to read your messages, so introduce yourself, say hi if you're watching live. I know a lot of you may be watching later on, so I've got some things planned. So what I'm going to try and do each live stream, and I realize it's 7:59, so I'm actually going to hold fire for a second, but I wanted to make sure it worked. So we are working, we are good. So at 8 o'clock, I will tell you what's in store. But if you are watching live, because there are fewer of us on the Patreon only lives as opposed to a YouTube wide one, you guys are the cream of the crop, not the riffraff. So let me know that you're here. Say hi, ask questions. How was your week? Okay, it's 8 o'clock, so here we go. So, first things first. Today I have made a list of the things I love the most about the UK. I thought we could chat about that. I'll try and do kind of a theme each week depending on where this goes to. Or sometimes maybe I'll just build something in front of you. I also have an idea of how I'm gonna start each one, and I would love for you guys to participate. And I know nobody likes participating in these things because it's like when you're at an orientation and they're like, tell me a fun fact about yourself, and you can't think of anything. But I thought, given that I am dual citizen now, I got my UK passport in the mail yesterday, I thought I would do a British moan, which for any Americans or other people watching is basically complaining. In America, we don't use the word moan for complaining. So I'll do a British moan / complain. I'll access that part of my new self. And then I will do an American optimistic report on something else that happened. So basically, for this week, my British moan, let's start with the moan. It's going to be about the weather. Is this a joke? I know it's not because it happens every winter, but it's like winter here. I just wish so much that we could go full winter. So snow, blizzards, blue skies, kind of like they might get somewhere in the mountains when you go skiing, or different places. I know Boston has very frigid winters, but maybe more blue skies. I just wish we could go full winter as opposed to somebody turn the lights down and we're at 40% light. So yeah, what do you guys do to get through the winter? Because we're only on January 6th. So gonna need some suggestions. I have a sad lamp and I try and get outside when I see the sun, but if we could just have the sun for I don't know, an hour a day. Is that too much to ask? I feel like it is. I read something the other day that said that December was the least sunny December on record in the UK, which I believe. Hi Neil, we have our first person brave enough to say hi. I see 4 of you are watching live. More to come, hopefully. So as I was saying at the beginning, we are smaller in numbers now than on obviously the big YouTube thing where people can just randomly show up and say rude things and then leave. So you guys are the chosen ones. I'm not going to do lives on YouTube except for the special occasion. So I'm really hoping that we can kind of build our own community here. Whatever your interests, whatever your age, wherever you are, it's just fun to have some people to talk to. So I will go live once a week. So yeah, so answer if you are in the watching live. Let me know what your British moan of the week is. What has gone wrong for you this week? So for me, it was the weather. I always think that snow should stay where it belongs on seasonal greeting cards. Hello! Thank you for joining me. Do you not like the snow? maybe I like the snow in like an idyllic world where I don't have to deal with like the slush after. But that's fair enough. So maybe the UK winter does work for you because it doesn't snow that much. Though the first time I ever was in the UK for a winter was the very first time I studied abroad, and it was a very snowy winter, so I feel like I was missold slightly. Um, Up here, hardly any sun at this time of year, so we have events. So what kind of events do you do to like get you through this time of year? I feel like that's another thing that kind of, I feel like this social calendar here, like yes, during the Christmas season it's very festive and active, but I feel like in general in the winter, like everybody just goes quiet and retreats indoors. And then when the summer comes, you can't do anything without being invited to a barbecue. Like any day after work, Saturday, like just every day of the summer, I feel like everybody wants to just get in all that socializing. And I feel like we should balance it out a little bit more. Hi, Glenn. Thank you so much for joining live. Our families always went skiing, and that fixed the seasonal affective disorder members. Yes, that is actually a great way to do it. We've gone skiing. I've been skiing 4 times now. I'll have to do a whole video about my skiing experiences. I'm finally good enough to like enjoy myself. I feel like when you learn as an adult, there's this turning point where you're first going skiing because like you've been invited, you want to learn, but like you have no idea what's in store, and then you have to get through the oh my god, this is very painful and terrifying, and then you kind of reach that point where you're like, oh yeah, going out on the slopes in the afternoon, that sounds fun. So I finally reached that point, but we haven't been able to go because of COVID. We're hoping to go in March to Les Arcs. Where do you go skiing, Glenn? Okay, so that was my British moan this week about the weather. So come next week with your British moan in place. I want to hear what's gone wrong. Anything that's gone wrong this week. We can commiserate, we can laugh. But we also have to do the American optimism bit because we can't just have the complaining without the inspiration. So my American optimism from this week has to do with the volunteers at the vaccination center where I got my boosters today. My boosters, I only got 1 booster, singular. So they were so friendly, and like not just friendly because they had to be friendly, but like over the top, almost American style friendly of like making conversation with me. So when I was in the kind of cubicle sitting down and there were 2 people, the nurse giving the jab or shot as we say in the US, and somebody else, I felt like I was catching up with friends as opposed to getting a booster. We were talking about my citizenship test, because the nurse said, oh, American or Canadian when she heard my accent, and it was just like a good time. So that's going to be my optimism of the week, is the very friendly vaccination center people. Neil says, we tend to go on holiday to places like the Canary Islands and Mauritius. I have never been to either of those, and I would love to go. I have been to, particularly in the winter months, I went to Malaga one year. My husband booked it for my birthday, which is in February, which is a pretty bleak month usually, as you guys know who are British, in the UK. And Malaga was beautiful. We didn't go for the like resort area kind of party scene. We went to Malaga itself, and it was beautiful, historic. The food was really cheap. The tapas were amazing. So definitely have to try the Canary Islands, Mauritius, things like that. But yeah, it's funny too, living in a place where I guess the goal in the winter for everybody is to get out, as opposed to in Florida where I grew up, the winter is like the nicest time of year. So everybody comes there in the winter, and our peak season is often in the winter. I don't know if you've heard of the term snowbirds. Has anyone heard of what a snowbird is? Comment. I'm not going to tell you. Leave it in the live chat. So, yes, thank you guys so much for joining live. So I won't, again, I know different people have different levels of how much you want to participate, but definitely, introduce yourselves to each other. We've got people from all over. I know that we do have definitely at least one Australian, not necessarily on here right now, but as a Patreon. So as we grow, it will get bigger and bigger, and there will be more and more people. So just stick with me, hang in there, and welcome to the first live. Okay, so the topic of conversation for today is what I love and what you love about the UK. Because I just got my citizenship, I just got my British passport, and despite the weather, and despite the fact that it is incredibly bleak out my window a lot this month, there are a lot of things to love about the UK. I used to visit Illinois. Okay, how do you pronounce? Is it Peoria? I used to visit Illinois a few times a year. That was the first place I encountered thunder, snow, and temperatures way lower than we're used to here. Hey Andrew, you made it, welcome. Oh my gosh. So yes, Illinois is really known for their, what's the word? Guys, I'm struggling with like booster. I'm feeling okay, but kind of like slightly out of it. Extreme. Yes, Illinois I feel like is known for their extreme winters. Also Wisconsin. So my friend from Wisconsin used to show me pictures, and just you open your door through most of the winter and there's like a 6-foot pile of snow outside. Totally different than here. Okay, so as you are getting to know each other, right, things I love about the UK. So I thought this would be a good topic. So the first thing I love about the UK, are these things that you love about the UK? Okay, tolerance of eccentrics. Interesting. Okay, interesting. Let's circle back to that. NHS, yes. Love the NHS. Appreciate the NHS, as I just could go on and on about how nice it is to not worry about medical bills and things like that. Absolutely love the NHS. I've had a couple bad experiences just with like individual people, but that would be the same no matter where you are. Mostly it's been very, very positive. History, yes, tons of history here. The church that I got married in is from the 12th century, which kind of blew the minds of all of my American friends and family visiting, because something that old is just like hard to comprehend in the US, whereas here you're just walking along and you're like, oh, where is this old ruin from? Yeah, probably the 12th century. So what I was gonna say, which is not as great as what you guys are pointing out, but I went for like the smaller things that I feel like people wouldn't necessarily know to appreciate, but I do. I love a mail slot over the mailbox, and I'll tell you why. You don't have to leave your house to get the mail. I know that some places, if you're in like a flat, then you do, but for a standard British house, to have the post or the mail delivered straight through your door, love it. You don't have to leave. If the weather is bleak, if it's pouring down rain, I mean, whatever the case, like, you just go in your house to get your mail. Love it. Everyone should appreciate that more. I made a video one time talking about this, and somebody left me a comment one time when I was talking about the differences between the UK and the US, and I mentioned this whole mailbox versus a mail slot, and they got very angry at me because they thought I was on the side of the mailbox, but I'm actually not. I'm on the side of the mail slot. I don't drive, so I appreciate the UK public transport system, especially when compared with many areas in the US. I completely agree about the public transportation system. I've used it in London for many years, but also what I think people don't realize when they talk about the UK like as visitors. By the way, Be Right UK, which I won't use your name, which I think I know unless you say it, but are you you're based in the UK, right? Or are you in the US? Clarify so I know exactly if we're on the same page. Yeah, so the UK, what I think people don't realize is like, yes, London has a good public transportation system, but you could be almost anywhere in the country and find like regular buses slash trains slash trams slash whatever to get you where you want to go. I think that's what Americans can't wrap their mind around, because we can think of a city that we know of, like maybe New York or Boston, that has a public transportation. So when people say like, oh, the UK has good public transportation, I think a lot of people are thinking, okay, yeah, in the cities, but it's outside as well. It's between towns. It's like going through villages, and regularly scheduled. I think in the US, a lot of times it could be like, yeah, there's a bus in my town, but it only shows up on occasion, and it's not necessarily something that anyone would be taking unless perhaps you are, I don't know, like a little bit shady. Especially in places where you almost have to have a car to get around in the US. Yes, I am your new patron. Yes, you are. We've got actually a couple new people today. And again, hoping to grow this community and have more. Okay. Andrew says theater clubs, choirs, train spotters, running clubs, football clubs, book clubs. Interesting. Okay, so all of the things that you can do in communities. So I am looking into getting back into, this is completely random, but I used to figure skate when I was a teenager, and I think it's really fun and good exercise, and so I'm looking into doing that and kind of trying to find like an adult community of people who figure skate or ice skate. And so I'm finding like rinks near me and looking into that. So hopefully I can find a good one. I know some of them are like, oh, well, there's no real community. It's mostly for like the kids to skate. And then some of them do have that sense of community. So I'm doing my best. I'm trying to get involved here, people. Within a few miles of me, there's a Roman bathhouse, Roman roads, iron towns and defenses, Roman and Iron Age cemeteries. Yeah, Roman city. I completely agree. I think the U.S. has more, if we're comparing, which this isn't a comparing video, but I think the U.S. has more history than people give it credit for, particularly if we're talking about actual U.S. history, like Native American history. But yeah, the UK is just, there's so much to do and so much to see. Sometimes it's actually kind of overwhelming because there's a ton of different options. And now that I'm thinking about like coming out of this pandemic experience and really getting back into the world and exploring the UK, I feel like you could just drive around for months/years and not see it all. History in Orkney is amazing. Orkney Cathedral is breathtaking. I have never been to Orkney. I would love some recommendations because I am planning a trip potentially with some of my American audience from my blog. So mostly my YouTube, I think, are Brits, and some Australians and Canadians, a couple Americans. But my site, Girl Gone London, is mostly Americans who read that, and I'm planning a group trip next year, and Orkney is potentially on the cards. So, any suggestions for that? Okay, lots of good things. The next thing I wrote on my list is the things I love most about the UK, in addition to all these wonderful things. The toilets. Hear me out. The toilet, the back of the toilet is often hidden here. Like, how could I explain this? I don't know if you've seen a picture of an American toilet, but the back part of it juts out a ton, whereas here it's often the design to stuff all of the kind of extra bits in the back behind the like facade of the bathroom, and it does look a lot like, it looks swisher, looks nicer. Also, speaking of toilets, toilet stalls in public bathrooms / public toilets. Can we talk about how much space there is under an American toilet stall in between them? It is insane. Sometimes you're like, we are all in this together. It is ridiculous. Whereas here, I remember going to the bathroom at Heathrow Airport, okay, And we had just landed, my very first time in the UK, and I still vividly remember being amazed at how the toilet stall was like its own separate room with a door, and I am pretty sure I took a picture to send home because I was so excited about how the public bathrooms looked different. So I do appreciate that about the UK. Hire a cottage in Orkney. You'll need a car. Okay, yes. UK plugs, another great British thing. Yes, my husband hates an American plug because he says the UK ones are far superior. And the only thing I don't like about a UK plug is that it's harder for me to like plug in because it all has to, there's the three, let's see if we have any Americans watching. I don't know if we do, but if you're an American or somewhere else watching, this is a UK plug. This goes to my sad lamp, everybody. That's where we're at this January. But yeah, so you gotta like make sure it's all lined up because you've got more to line up. But overall, UK plugs, I believe, are probably safer than American ones, I have to admit. And they stick in the wall much better, and they actually stay there as opposed to American plugs with the two prongs that come out much easier. So there's some plug chat for you. The next thing I wrote down, which I want everybody to appreciate, is the grass in the UK. And I'm talking about the actual grass that is green on the ground. I don't know if anybody has been to places like Florida where we have a type of grass, and the only way I can describe it is that like the blades of grass are, you can individually count them very easy. They're massive. So when you go to like you wouldn't lay down on the grass because it's itchy and not soft, but you can just kind of feel all these like individual blades of grass kind of, whereas the grass here, at least near where I am in England, tends to be kind of soft. So if anybody is an expert on gardening or all things grass, then you might have some more information on the types of English grass or grass elsewhere in the UK, why it might be different, but it is definitely different, and the grass here is definitely softer. You can just like lie down on it. I could be in my, I still say backyard, but like back garden, and kind of just luxuriate in the grass. You can't really do that in Florida. Andrew, you're an electrical engineer. I did not know that. So yeah, you get the final say. They're much safer. The only bad thing about UK plugs is standing on them without shoes on. 100% yes. What is the worst thing you have ever stood on barefoot in the house? I mean, Legos are going to be a top choice for me, but I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've ever stood on. Probably Legos I'm going to have to go with. Different species of grass in the USA. Yeah, and I wonder, in the USA we have like different areas that also have different species, so I know that like Florida grass isn't the same as grass in other places, but I just feel like all over in the UK, top notch. Can't survive in the US climate. Oh, interesting, Glenn. Glenn, do you have a particular interest in gardening, or let us know your secrets? Do you know the names of the species? Did you see the report about Alexa suggesting a girl partly plug in an appliance, then put a penny across the prongs? Some TikTok thing, but wouldn't work with a UK plug. People do weird things nowadays because the internet told them to. I did not see that report, but yeah, definitely wouldn't work with a UK plug. And also a UK plug, you can't just put in either direction. You often can with a 2-prong US plug, but again, as Andrew says, they are safer, and things don't fall out of the wall as easily. Okay, the next thing I wrote down was Cadbury's. So I'm gonna let you all, if you've had Hershey's, you can leave your comments about how much you hate it. But I'm just gonna focus on the UK and how good Cadbury's chocolate is. I think it's probably one of the best things to come out of the UK. It just melts in your mouth. it's it's oh my gosh, it's so good. Just plain, I go for plain dairy milk or an Oreo dairy milk, but it's just like leagues above a ton of different chocolates that I've had around the world. Andrew says, I once stood on a triangular paint stripper wearing oh, it went right through the shoe, my foot, oh my gosh, and out through the other side of the shoe. Okay, you win. That sounds horrendous. Oh god. Definitely, if I had a prize to give you, I would give it to you. Okay, anyone else? What have you stood on? I know this is the hard-hitting material you'll come here for. By the way, as we do this every week, I'm gonna do a poll to make sure everybody's like good with the time, but we're gonna do an hour. So you know you can plan, join in for the hour, have some chit chat, depending on what we're up to that week, and then you'll know that on the hour it finishes. I like a plan. I like to know what's going on. And then it will save us all from the awkward, is this ending or is it not thing. So we'll go today until 9 o'clock. Cadbury's Wispa is very nice. I have not had Wispa, but I tried a Cadbury's Eclair today. What are your thoughts on Cadbury's Eclairs? Tell me before I tell you my thoughts on it. Andrew says, fortunately it was sterile because of the paint stripper chemical and it missed everything important, but it hurt for ages. Oh, I can imagine. That's a story. My best injury story, I'm trying to think. I've never broken anything. I haven't broken a bone. But I think the best story I have is if you're squeamish, by the way, I don't know how we now got onto this topic, but this is the fun of a live stream. We're just in this together. Imagine a pizza cutter. Now imagine this pizza cutter. It basically looks like a pizza cutter, but it's for cutting fabric. So I was on a sewing streak when I was probably like 11 or 12. I don't know how this happened, but it was like a fun craft to like sew pillows with one of my friends. So I have it's like a fabric cutting board. It just looks kind of like a chopping board. And I've got what looks like a pizza cutter, but I'm not making a pizza. I'm cutting fabric. And hey Anna, thank you so much. We appreciate having you here. So let me finish this and then we can talk some more. So I'm cutting this fabric, not a pizza, and I've got my hand kind of like this on the fabric, and I'm cutting with like a pizza cutter kind of thing. And it completely goes in the wrong direction and slices like 3/4 of the way through my finger. I don't know if you can see. Do you see this? No, let's see. Let's see if you can see. Okay, there's my scar right here. So it went in like that, kind of sideways. And yeah, it was disgusting and had to get it stitched up, and it was it's still a scar to this day, but again, like Andrew, it missed kind of the essential nerves and stuff, so I still have full use of that finger. Okay, let's catch up on what's going on. Andrew said, I had a small piece of Hershey's once, a small piece. I threw the rest away. Okay, I know, it's not very good, but I do like it in s'mores because that's how I always grew up, having Hershey's. But I think you and everyone else that I've talked to in the UK would be right to throw it away. Neil says, Cadbury's used to be better until they were taken over by multinational. I have also heard this, which is a shame, but I still appreciate it today over lots of different places. Andrew says, I have American friends who I send UK chocolate to. Yes, that is always my go-to when my American friends have a birthday or something like that. So Anna, again, circling back, welcome, welcome, welcome. So like I said, we've got more than this on our Patreon community, so expect different people each week. I see Damien's joined. But we are growing this community, having fun every week, live stream, hanging out, and there will be activities, not that you have to do, but I will do in future weeks. But for today, we are talking about amazing things about the UK. Andrew says Cadbury's has just been untaken over. Oh, that's good to know. Damien says, which church? We have lots dating back to the 12th century. Well, we don't live near here, so you can't necessarily find me out, but it was the Hughenden Church in Buckinghamshire, a very beautiful, beautiful church. But yeah, you have a lot dating to the 12th century. I almost picked up, do you pronounce that soldering iron? By the hot end when wiring up a computer connection panel. I let go very quickly, but had a nice blister for a while. Oh, yeah, burns are the worst. I feel like that definitely could have gone much more wrong, but now I'm wondering if I said it correctly. It's soldering, right? Is that how you spell soldering? Let me know. Anna, smiley faces. Yes, okay, so what else is on my list of things I love about the UK? Royal Mail. Hear me out. If you've ever used USPS, the United States Postal Service, which we do appreciate their service, got some good mailmen, mailwomen, mail people out there. Royal Mail, I would say, is so much better. And I'll tell you why. Number one, things just seem to usually, for me, get places on time. I will say the UK is a much smaller place, so perhaps that's a little bit more of an advantage than sending something all the way from like Florida to California. But I generally trust Royal Mail. I don't know if I'm wrong to trust Royal Mail. Glenn, is it soldering? How do you spell soldering? What does it mean to solder something? What's the difference between soldering and soldering? Oh, you say soldering. Is soldering the same thing as an American would say is soldering, or is that something different? Because I would call it a soldering iron that gets really hot and is meant to like melt things, but you're saying you say soldering here. So am I wrong or am I American? Same thing, probably. Damien says, by the way you pronounce grass is the same way Northerners do. I feel like I would really fit it in the North. I feel like I should give it a try. I've been in the South too long. Correct, says Glenn. Okay, so I would say soldering, you would say soldering. What a fun fact that I did not know. Because that doesn't come up in conversation a lot. So that's awesome. Okay. So soldering iron to me, soldering iron to you. Interesting. Right. Royal Mail. The fact that you can now pay Royal Mail not that much money, like 39 pence, to pick up a parcel from your house so you don't have to go to the post office. Yes, I love that. Yes, please. I think they started this because of the pandemic, but it's working. I've used it. The postman came. I gave him like a package that I normally would have to take myself, but being lazy, I gave it to him, and it gets to where it needs to go. I love it. The Royal Mail is terrific. Lots of carriers charge surcharges to deliver in the Highland and Islands. I did wonder about that, Neil. Are there what other things can do or do not deliver, or do or do not have surcharges that people wouldn't think about for those who live in the Highlands? I think I said on my last live stream, but the furthest north I have been is Perthshire. So not up to the Highlands yet, but hoping to do that in 2022. Anna says, my son is a huge Cadbury fan and is excited to try more when we go to England. Okay, so Anna, you have to tell us. So I think we currently have 4 Brits, I think. If you're not, let me know. And Anna, where are you from? Let us know. Give us an intro so we can get to know each other. But I'm fairly certain most are Brits, and I count as both. Working and networking. Oh, okay, yeah. Working and networking, the word router caused some amusement to my US friends. We say router rather than router, and I just said rooter when I read that without reading the rest. Yeah, people were commenting that on a video I did too about route versus route. I think I use both interchangeably, but that's possibly because I've heard them both in both countries. Now I want to know what my husband says. I think he says route. By the way, I've convinced my husband to possibly join us in future live streams. Not today, but he's not going to reveal himself. No, he's not going to reveal. You know what I mean. He's not going to come on YouTube probably, but I think I can convince him to join us on here. Anna says, I hate going to our city post office with USPS. They're always grumpy. Yes, yes, yes. And when I was in America for the past 4 months and we had to send multiple things, I feel like everybody who works in a post office there is grumpy. But our postal carrier is very nice. Yes, same here. So why are the postal carriers nice, but people who are in post offices aren't? Glenn says, Northerners are like Californians in their can-do attitude. They're the most similar to Silicon Valley in the way they solve problems in all the places I have worked. That is really fascinating. I have definitely found that the North feels a lot more, I don't know, outgoing as a culture, and it does have a very distinct. I try not to crap on Southerners too much because I have lived my entire UK life in the Southeast, so I'm in, that's what I know. But I do enjoy going to the North because people do seem a little bit more willing to talk to you. Anna lives, okay, you live just north of Seattle, and is it Bothell, Washington? Is that how you say it? Now, Anna will also then know, I think the weather in the Pacific Northwest in the US is very similar to the UK, Anna, so you're probably primed and ready for UK winters. I used to work for the University of Oregon, and our students there would always tell me that an Oregon winter was basically the same as a UK winter. A route pronounced route is a planned destination. Okay, so Damien's saying a route is a planned destination, and a router is the network router, but Americans say router and route. But okay, Damien says a route pronounced route is a military campaign where we destroy the opposition. Fascinating. Genuinely, that is fascinating. I really want to do a poll now of what people around me say, because I think I say, okay, if you ask me what's the best route to get to it, I think I use both. I think I'm doing the dual US UK thing too well. Anna says, been pinning your stuff on Pinterest for years. Oh, welcome from Pinterest. Usually I don't hear that a lot here, Facebook or YouTube. So welcome from Pinterest. Happy to be part of your community. Very happy to have you here, Anna. And feel free, everybody, just in general, drop your questions. I think we're going to get, I'm not saying Anna is necessarily doing this. Anna, let us know. Are you planning a trip? Do you like the UK, and just interested? But I think we're going to get more and more people who are Americans who may have questions that you Brits can answer about your culture. Andrew says, I like to eat... Oh, Anna. Sorry. I hate when people say my name wrong. Anna. Appreciate that. Andrew says, I like to eat a classic English dish that can get me sent to Facebook jail if I use it there. Oh, I know which one you're talking about. I think. Clarify. Because maybe this is going over my head, but maybe I know what you mean. But I don't want to sound stupid. Right, Anna says, we match your weather often, although we just had a lot of snow last week. Oh, are you snowed in? Or can you handle snow up there? Because when it snows here, I definitely feel like the whole world stops, which I don't mind. It's a bit of fun, especially in the south, but London is not prepped for the snow. Neil says, we visited Vancouver Island when in Canada to see my wife's cousin. The weather in February was the same as the UK. Interesting. I think I'm more used to living in the South. Oh, just shook my screen there. I'm used to living in the South, so Florida or like visiting Texas and the southeast of the U.S. And we definitely have very different winters. But obviously, I think like upstate New York, I think has similar UK weather as well. Anna is hoping to go visit in April. Hopefully, what's stopping you? Money, COVID. It would be amazing if you could visit. I know a lot of people are heartened by the recent news that there's some changes to the testing, so you don't have to test before traveling to the UK if you're fully vaccinated, and some changes on the end that I think will make people's trips go much smoother for my groups who are actually planning on visiting. Snow makes us freak out, but it melted. Okay, so same here. Snow makes us freak out too. Andrew says snow is forecast here tonight. I'll believe it when I see it. Andrew, what like part of the UK are you in? Where, because I've been hoping for snow for this whole, oh, we have light rain starting in 31 minutes. No snow yet. On average, it only snows in London 1 in 10 years. Yeah, I definitely feel like I got the wrong impression. Winter of 2012, when I first moved here, London just got like a dump of snow. So much so that I built a snowman, a small one, but still a snowman, and I feel like he could have been bigger, in Hyde Park. Like there was just so much snow compared to what it is now, where I feel like a few flakes, maybe. Andrew says, beware the first day in southern England after a significant snowfall. Yeah, nothing's ready. Neil says, Neil wants to know where in the UK are you wanting to go? In the UK, we are more likely to see a white Easter than Christmas, which would change Bing Song a little. Yes, I remember, I think it was the second year I lived here, maybe the first year. I'm trying to remember. No, June seems too late. Was it, I think it snowed in May though. This was like 10 years ago, but I'm pretty sure the beginning of May, it snowed, like it counted as snow. Oh, Andrew, you're in Hertz. Yeah, I'm in Bucks. So how are you getting snow? Send it as you said, we'll see if it happens, but it's not forecast for me. So if you get some, snap a picture. Twice in my life, I've been in 10-hour traffic jams to go a few miles on the first day of snow. Yeah, I remember 2020 lockdown, we had snow here in Bucks, and first of all, nobody was out anyway, like nobody was driving just because of the pandemic, but the roads were covered in snow. People were helping, like the one car that ventured out, you had like 10 people behind it trying to push because it got stuck, and the rest of people were just using the roads because they were so empty and snowed over as if they were like actual paths instead of for cars. Neil says we have snow in May some years. Yeah, so I think it even snowed in the South in May at least 10 years ago. Anna says, with everything being so crazy these last 2 years, yes, tell me about it. I try not to get my hopes up, but I'm ready to book. Partly a senior trip for your son. He's an aviation freak and wants to go to Heathrow. I love that. Mostly in London, but we might go to York to meet up with a friend. I am crossing my fingers that it happens for you. I really do believe that it is, like, if you want to make it happen this spring, especially with what they're saying now about travel and stuff, I feel like it's going to happen. So you have to keep us updated. Let us know your questions. You have access as a Patreon to, as you can see from this chat, I'm authentic in that I've lived in the UK for 10 years, and I like to think I like bridge the cultures. But you have access to some authentic Brits who have lots of knowledge to share. York is great. I haven't been to York except for maybe like a brief drive through. We usually end up in the Lake District if we're going north, but I definitely need to spend more time in the North and in York in particular. Damien shares, White Christmas comes from Charles Dickens. He was born in 1812, and it snowed at Christmas every year for the first 10 years of his childhood. Yeah. I have heard, and also a lot of people say now, like, oh, this is kind of around the world, but especially in the UK, like, my husband seems to remember it being much more snowy when he was growing up. I'm not sure if this is a global warming thing or if this is a you remember, like, it different than it was kind of things. Anna says, you're making me feel better about our decision. Yeah, it's going to be a great time. Are you in the Facebook group? If you're not, let me know, but I'll make sure. I think you're in there. Oh, but I'm not entirely sure. So let me know, because I want to make sure you have all the information. We are being scaredy cats going to Skye in May. Oh, listen, I think it's going to happen. I think this is the year, you guys. I think this is the year. And, you know, I'm hoping that the UK gets through this, like, peak right now, but I just think I feel good things. 2021, I felt good things, but also we were just starting up with vaccines and things were kind of I feel like 2022 is going to be the year. We are very much hoping to go skiing in France in March, like I said, but that's a little not sure right now because of France. Also, I know I talk with my hands a lot, which I get hate comments about, but I know you guys wouldn't join to leave the hate comments, but if it gets annoying, just let me know. Andrew, there's a secret Facebook group for the Americans / Canadians / Australians who are coming to the UK, and we have a couple of UK people in there, but if you guys would like to join, I will give you the link. The only thing I ask, I'm in your general Facebook. If there's a group, I'm not in it yet. Okay, I'm going to post a group link because maybe I'll take this opportunity to explain. I feel a little bit like Hannah Montana. If you get the reference, you get it. If not, that means you weren't a 12-year-old girl like 10 years ago, so it's fine. Let's see if this works. See if that takes me where I want to go. So for any of my Patreons watching this live, watching this on catch up, by the way, if you're watching this on catch up, we would really love if you join us live for the next one, but very much appreciate that you are watching this. So the Facebook group, okay, so the Facebook group was born out of girlgonelondon.com and was, girlgonelondon.com took off because I wrote a lot of articles about if you could find certain American stores in the UK. So for instance, somebody would be looking up, like, is there a Walmart in the UK? And it would bring them to my site, my article, and I would funnel them into my Facebook group where I was creating a community, which ended up being mostly Americans and people not from the UK because they were finding my site in this group because they were looking up these, if they could find these stores that were familiar to them in the UK. Anyway, so this grew on its own, and this, again, the vibe in that group is very much, most people are visitors or people who are planning on moving to the UK. And then I have my YouTube audience, which is a whole entirely different audience, so I'm trying to merge the two, but as you might notice from just the YouTube comments and things like that, most of my YouTube audience are actually Brits because I think people are interested, I mean, you guys tell me, but I think people are interested in seeing, like, an American's experience of the UK. So I live these, like, double lives where on YouTube I know that I'm talking to, like, 85% Brits, and in the Facebook group I know that I'm talking to, like, 85% Americans or people from elsewhere. Anyway, you can join the group if you want, but I think it will only be helpful if you are coming to the UK to visit, or if you would like to be one of our British experts to jump in and share your knowledge where you can. The reason I don't put this group out for the general YouTube audience is I was having people, like, British people join, and then, like, I kind of, like, saying rude things about like me in the Facebook group, which I know you guys wouldn't do, but that's why I like stopped promoting it on YouTube. So you're welcome to join and you will see my two separate worlds. Okay. So, Glenn says Italy is a good place to ski so long as you don't get stressed by queue jumping. I don't get stressed by queue jumping because I'm American, but my husband's family does because they're English. And so, yeah. But I do like garlic bread and gelato. So maybe Italy we'll have to think about instead of France. Damien says, I keep on hearing films, something called J.C. Penney. Can you explain? Damien, I can explain, and this is an example of an article I would have written for girlgonelondon.com. Is there a J.C. Penney in the UK? And people would search that, find my website, and then find my group. Okay. Andrew, you are more than welcome in the Facebook group. So please do join and share your experience, expertise, anything. Neil is joining to help with Scottish questions. You guys, it's just like we have the dream team here. Anna's got the US covered. The rest of you, I will accept you all after this live in 10 minutes. Okay, JCPenney. Yes, as Anna said, JCPenney is a medium cost department store. My grandma, who is now passed unfortunately, but she worked there basically all of her life. So I loved JCPenney. And what I could compare it to in the UK, it's not as upscale as a John Lewis. It's similar. It's higher scale than like a Matalan. How do you say Matalan? Maybe it's like a Next kind of, medium cost. Okay. Anna says, I'm a huge Disney geek and I help run a Disney event here in the Seattle area. That is why we're going to be best friends, because I love Disney. As you probably know from, maybe that's why you said it, or you just shared, or you saw my Disney thing back here. I do need a Union flag to accompany my American flag pillow, but I don't have one yet. I grew up going to the theme parks just as something to do on like an afternoon because lived 30 minutes, 40 minutes from there. So huge Disney person. Here, right, everybody has requested to join. So so you'll join the group and you're gonna see a whole new world of Girl Gone London. But you guys are all more than welcome. We have one of the biggest John Lewis in Welwyn Garden City, where I live. It used to be, it's not great anymore. I feel like that's what happened to a John Lewis near us. Which one were we at? I can't remember which one it was in particular, but it just seemed like dingier than normal. Okay, Anna, yes, I know you like, okay. As long as you know I like Disney, then I'm doing my job. Okay, so we will hang out for about 8 more minutes. Again, I do like a schedule. And so I think we've had a good turnout tonight. Obviously, I know that you can't join me every single week because you have lives and things to do. But I really envision us checking in each week, having different topics, doing different things. The joy of a live is I can do it from wherever, so even if I'm not in the UK or if I'm not at home, we can hang out, chat, we'll figure it out. We'll have lots on the cards, but I'm going to post a poll in Patreon to make sure that the time each week works for everybody. So if anybody has any suggestions on times that do or don't work for you, while we're smaller, we can kind of accommodate, and then when we get bigger, people will just have to deal with it. So if there's a time when you can come or a day that's best for you, speak your piece now so that I can actually plan it around you. Oh, yeah, the management have no idea why they were, I went to a John Lewis the other day that was on a, John Lewis is like an upscale department store, maybe similar to like a Macy's, but like their whole thing is customer service. because customer service is not that great in the UK. So John Lewis stands out for what is supposed to be like the best customer service. But we went in one the other day that looked like they had just taken like an old warehouse and shoved a John Lewis in it. And I'm like, a John Lewis is supposed to be like purpose-built John Lewis, like oozing middle-class charm. It's not supposed to be shoved in a warehouse. Another great thing Neil says is afternoon tea. Absolutely. That is something I tell visitors and people who come to visit me, like family, to do an afternoon tea. I think people may think that afternoon tea is something that people here do every day, so I have to make sure people know it's like a special, like people would go to afternoon tea here, but it's for like a special event, and then once they wrap their heads around that, then it's all good. Nordstrom, yeah, that's probably it. Afternoon tea is so much more than a drink. Anna says, I love tea. Weird you don't drink coffee. Well, I don't know if you will have seen, I think I revealed this on my YouTube live that I did last week, but I don't drink tea or coffee, and I still love afternoon tea because, as Neil says, it's all about the cakes and sandwiches for me, really. Damien says, what's your view on tipping? Okay, I'm gonna get my husband, and not tonight, but we're gonna do a live where my husband joins to tell you all about his thoughts on tipping, because as a Brit, he finds US tipping culture very, very strange. My views on tipping are, I prefer it in the UK because I have to pay less and it's less stressful because you're not always like, do I tip this person? Do I not tip this person? Tipping culture in the US, I feel like, has gone even further in the last 10 years than it used to be. And you're supposed to tip for like everything. I tip in the US, I tip 20% at sit-down restaurants. That's pretty standard, like 15 to 20, but particularly in big cities or expensive places, tipping 20. I don't tip in the US things like at a Starbucks or at like a bagel shop or something. So the UK in that respect I think it's gotten more of a tipping culture here, but not being as much of a tipping culture, certainly. It's better for my wallet. Arthur, hello. Hi, Kaylin and all. Arthur, you are very, very welcome to join us. Late join, was out running. Were you actually out like running? Because that is impressive. Planning a long trip in September, visit friends in Kent/Surrey, then up north, finally Scotland. That sounds amazing, Arthur. We have got Neil in here from Scotland. Lots of tips and tricks. Friends in Kent, sorry. That sounds really amazing. So you have to watch the rest on catch up, but for anybody else who's joining late, we will go for about 4 more minutes till 9, so you know that these last an hour of fun, and then we will disperse until we meet back up the next week. But I would love to hear your suggestions for anything you'd like me to do on the live. Again, not in like a weird way, but just to have some fun. Okay, so short pub tour. Ooh, short pub tour, that sounds good. One of the UK experiences is tea. Oh, yeah, okay. Everybody listen to Andrew's suggestion, because I have not been, but I have heard that from other people as well. So confirmed, Andrew knows what he's talking about when it comes to electrical engineering and afternoon tea. Anna says, I like nibbly stuff, yummy sandwiches and cakes. Yes, Anna, you have to do an afternoon tea. Arthur, how many times, remind me where you're from, Arthur, before I make a fool of myself. And how many times have you been to the UK? Let us know, because we've got different people from all over, and I want to make sure I'm keeping everybody straight and getting to know you individually. Neil says, being Scottish, tipping is a nightmare, as we are meant to be mean. So I tend to overtip. So you overtip because you don't want people to think that you're mean? Oh, that's the most Scottish thing I've ever heard. There's a Betty's in York. Yes, there's also one in Harrogate, Andrew says. Are they the ones that do the, you know what I'm talking about, but I can't think of the name, but it's like the special cake or bread or something? You know what I'm talking about. Someone know what I'm talking about. Andrew says, best pub tour, half a pint of beer in every pub in St. Albans within half a mile of the clock tower. Haven't tried, but I'm not far enough away from St. Albans. Maybe that can be on the cards. Okay, so like I said, I'm not going to ramble on and on because I want you to know if you join a live stream, it's going to end. You're not going to miss out. We're going to do an hour. So I think we should start to say have a great week. Next week, let's see. Next week, I think for the purposes of the people here watching, we should plan for same day, same time, same place. And then we can figure out a more standard day if that doesn't work for you. I want you to come with your British moan and your American optimism so you can share the positives and negatives of your week. And we'll think about what to talk about next week. So yeah, thank you guys also so much. I'm just going to end with my over-the-top appreciation. To think that you would want to support this channel, to support me, to join this community, to support this community, support me, is really, really mind-blowing. I appreciate it more than you know. I appreciate the people who just like click on my YouTube video and then leave a random comment and then leave. I appreciate them too, but you guys are really helping me to create this community, which I can feel that we're already starting to create, and giving people recommendations and just bringing the two cultures together, and not just I'm two cultures, but cultures from all around the world. I think it's a really great way to get to know and like get to experience other people's realities in different places, and it just opens your mind and it's all really good. Okay, have a great week. See you next Thursday, 8 p.m. I will give you the link. We can figure out what to talk about. Have the best week possible. Anna, thanks for joining. Glenn, Be Right UK. Arthur, thank you for coming back from your run. We're all very impressed with you. Neil Morrison, Damien, you were all fantastic people. Have a great week. Talk to you later. Bye.